What's up, everybody? My name is Caleb Brunco. I'm a photographer and filmmaker based here in South Florida, and today we are doing a little versus video. I thought it might be kind of fun if we compared the Canon EOS R6 with the Blackmagic Pocket 6K Pro, because they both cost $2,500, give or take a few dollars. But they serve vastly different purposes. So I wanted to start this off by just what each of these cameras is used for. The Blackmagic is a professional video camera. It gets an amazing image, has a bunch of ports. Basically everything in this camera is designed for high-end video work. There you go. The EOS R6, on the other hand, is a hybrid camera. It's actually mainly more of a stills camera, like for photos, but it has some really good like video specs and capabilities as well, but is mainly designed to be a stills camera or a hybrid camera, I guess you could say, because it has a little bit of both. So even though it's not much of a fair comparison, to be honest, I thought it'd be kind of fun to set up a little blind side-by-side test. So one of them is going to be camera A, one of them is going to be camera B. I'm not going to tell you which is which until later. But the Blackmagic was filmed in 6K 12-bit RAW, and the EOS R6 was filmed in 4K 10-bit 422. So leave them down in the comments which camera you think is which, and we'll see just how close a hybrid camera can get to a full-blown cinema camera. So let's check it out. So to keep that test as fair as possible, I shot both of these cameras on Sigma art lenses, and I matched them to about a 35mm full frame field of view. So there we go. Which one did you think was camera A and which one did you think was camera B? I'll give you a second to leave your answers down in the comments. So camera A, I can announce, is the EOS R6, and camera B was the Blackmagic Pocket 6K Pro. And it's really not much of a fair comparison, essentially. The EOS R6 has very limited video specs compared to the Blackmagic, not just in terms of like resolution even. Like the dynamic range is like the biggest like giveaway, essentially, of which one was which, where on the R6, the sky in the shots clips pretty much instantly. It's just a white blob in the sky. And the Blackmagic has much more of a roll off, or it's just completely exposed the entire time. So there we go. If you guessed camera B was the Blackmagic, you're right. Looking at each of these cameras ergonomically is a dead giveaway as to what each one is used for. First of all, one's tiny, and it's not big for like a cinema camera, but it's pretty chunky. They're very different sizes, especially when you're holding it. Anyway though, the Blackmagic has a ton of ports on the side. You have a full-size HDMI, you have two mini XLRs, USB-C. You get a massive flipping screen on the back of the Blackmagic that has like a 1500 nit brightness. This thing has built-in ND filters up to 6 stops, whereas the EOS R6 does not. You can get a EF to RF drop-in filter adapter, but that is an extra $400 if you can even find them in stock right now. So then that makes this quite a lot more expensive than this if you're going to go that route. And also you have the ability to either record to CFast cards, SD cards, or external SSDs. So there's a lot of versatility as to what you can do with the Blackmagic. As for the EOS R6, it's much smaller, has much less port selections. You get a micro HDMI, so not even a mini HDMI. No XLR, just a 3.5mm headphone jack, but you do get a flipping screen that rotates all around, you get dedicated dials for everything you need, which you do also get on the Blackmagic. It's a lot more compact. And this camera can only take UHS 2 SD cards. As well, the battery on the R6 is the new Canon LP E6NH battery, which is so far holds up great. Whereas the Blackmagic Pocket 6K Pro now has the Sony NPF batteries, which gets a lot more juice than the LPE6 batteries did on the old pocket cameras, but still, you're probably still gonna want like a V-mount solution if you plan on shooting all day. As for the mounts that each camera has, the EOS R6 features Canon's RF mount, which is super versatile. You can adapt it to pretty much anything, which super nice. Love having the RF mount, especially when you're adapting to EF, because then you can have any kind of like drop-in filter that you need. Very, very nice. Whereas the Pocket 6K Pro has a Canon EF mount, which is a great mount. It's like the most widely used mount for any lens ever, but it does have quite a long flange distance, so it's really hard to adapt it to other stuff. Like you can't really put PL lenses on this for like high-end video work and other things like that. I would have absolutely loved if they had an RF mount on this camera, because you could adapt it to pretty much anything like the red Komodo can. Although would have probably not been able to fit the internal NDs, but honestly I would have taken the RF mount over the internal NDs any day, because you can just slap on a EF to RF drop-in filter adapter. Basically the ultimate dream is if Blackmagic can figure out how to get an RF mount with built-in ND filters like the Canon C70 has, game over, dude, game over. This thing would be just absolute king for me. For the video assist features, the Blackmagic, again, crushes the R6 for this. We get false color, we get a RGB waveform. You can input your LUTs straight into this camera. That's great. We get focus peaking, and it does actually have autofocus, but it's only like a one-shot autofocus. So like you focus it and then it's done. And it's not gonna track a subject. Whereas on the R6, you have a world-class autofocus system. This thing will track pretty much anything, especially people and animals, like anywhere in the frame. If you need a camera with autofocus, this over the 6K Pro any day. As for other assist features, you do get peaking and you do get zebras, but it's nothing compared to what you'll find in the Blackmagic. As for the sensors that are in each of these cameras, the EOS R6 has a full frame 20 megapixel sensor that can shoot 4K up to 60 frames per second. And that 4K is actually oversampled from 5.5K, so it's a really clean looking 4K image. Really like the image that comes out of this little tiny body. The 6K Pro has a 6K sensor, like in the name. They can shoot up to 50 frames per second in that 6K mode. It has a dual native ISO at 400 and 3200, so you can get a really clean image whether you're shooting in optimal lighting conditions or a little less optimal lighting conditions. And then if we're talking about the dynamic range of each of these cameras, the Blackmagic is the clear winner. This thing has like 13 or 13 and a half stops of dynamic range and looks absolutely amazing. It's really easy to keep your image from not just blowing out. It looks really, really smooth with what you get here. Whereas the R6 only has about 11 stops, and it looks really good when you're shooting in a situation that doesn't require more than 11 stops. It looks absolutely killer. But if you're shooting in anything that requires quite a lot of dynamic range, your highlights are gonna clip pretty fast and you just can't get them back. With that being said, the codecs that each of these cameras uses, the R6 uses a 10-bit 422 codec, which is much better than Canon's old 8-bit codec that they used to have, but their new 10-bit H.265 is a nightmare to edit for most computers, so keep that in mind also. Whereas the Blackmagic uses a 12-bit RAW codec, which is somehow runs insanely smooth on whatever computer you're running it on. I don't know how they've optimized it so well, but you can push and pull this like 12-bit raw footage like crazy. You can just do whatever you want to it. You can make the trees purple, you can make people blue, I don't know. You can do whatever you want. And you can also shoot this thing in ProRes, which is really great if you don't need all that raw data and those file sizes. Disregarding file sizes though, I gotta say, it is so nice being able to just shoot a video out with friends and not have to worry about like what your white balance is. You should still check it. You should still make sure your white balance is pretty good. But just knowing that I can treat this video camera like I can shoot a raw photo and just change everything later is so nice, and like doesn't make me worry as much as the R6 about like what my settings are and like making sure everything's dialed in perfectly. Cause you can just change it later. You can just fix it later. So you I don't know, you have a little more fun with the Blackmagic in terms of video. This EOS R6 has an absolutely amazing image. This thing is my favorite hybrid camera at the moment, including price. It does everything that I need it to do when I need it to do it. I bring these with me all day, every day to pretty much whatever shoot I'm on, and I know that these things can get the job. But this Blackmagic has so much better video quality and video specs and just capabilities in general. The image that comes out of this Blackmagic, like it's hard not to just shoot everything on this Blackmagic because everything just looks just amazing. Everything just looks really, really good coming out of this camera. Although the files are quite large. You can throw it into like 4K mode or 2K or whatnot, or you can just throw it into ProRes and it'll be fine. Which one of these cameras should you get? Basically, if you need a do everything camera, get the R6. If you need autofocus, get the R6. If you need to be able to take photos and videos and have autofocus, or if you want to vlog, whatever, any of those kind of things, just a do it all camera that's not amazing at anything, but it's really good at everything, get the EOS R6. You will not be disappointed with this camera. But if you're doing professional video work or very high-end video work, or just want the best possible image, if you don't care about photos, absolutely get the Blackmagic. If you don't need autofocus, get the Blackmagic. This has a vastly superior image to this EOS R6. You will not be disappointed with the footage that comes out of this thing. It's kind of crazy how good the image is that comes out of this for $2,500. And you get built-in ND filters, so that'll save you quite a lot of money on NDs. So which of these cameras is best for you? Let me know down in the comments. I would love to hear it. And if you liked this video, please consider liking and subscribing. It greatly helps me out. Trying to grow this channel. Trying to just make something of myself, I guess. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.